The storm hit our small town without warning. Rain slammed against my windows, and the wind shook the old wood like it wanted to break inside. I sat near the fire with a blanket around my shoulders, trying to ignore the fear crawling up my spine. Storms always made me feel like the past was knocking again. But that night, someone really did knock. A sharp, loud knock hit my door. Then another. Then one more, slower, weaker. I froze. Who's out there in this storm? I whispered to myself. The rain roared like it wanted to answer. The knock came again. I should check, I told myself, but my voice sounded small. I walked to the door, heart beating too fast. When I opened it, a man stood there, soaked from head to boots. Water dripped off his dark hair. His clothes clung to him. His lips shook. "Please," he said. I need shelter." His voice was rough, tired, shaking in every word. I stared at him, trying to understand what I was seeing. "Who are you?" I asked. "My name's Ethan," he said. "Ethan Ward." He looked like he might fall, so I stepped aside. "Come in," I said. He entered slowly, like the warm air inside hurt him. I closed the door fast before the wind could throw rain across the floor. "Thank you," he said. I didn't know where else to go. "It's fine," I said. Anyone would help. But I knew that wasn't true. People in this town shut their doors when strangers appeared at night. I just didn't want to be like them. Ethan stood near the fire. His hands shook as he tried to warm them. "You're freezing," I said. "Sit down." He sat, eyes on the flames like they were saving him. "You live alone?" he asked. I hesitated. "Yes. It's just me now." "Just you," he said softly, like the words meant something to him. "Must be hard." "It's quiet," I said. "Sometimes too quiet." We stayed silent for a moment. The storm kept screaming outside, but inside, it felt calm. Strange calm. The kind that makes your chest tight. "Do you want tea?" I asked. "Please," he said. "If it's no trouble." "It's not." I went to the kitchen and boiled water. I kept looking back at him. Something felt different. He looked gentle and broken at the same time. Like a man with shadows behind his eyes. When I gave him the cup, he held it with both hands. "You saved me tonight," he said. "I owe you." "It's just shelter," I said. "Anyone would have done it." "No," he said. "Not anyone." His eyes met mine, and something in me softened. Maybe it was the storm. Maybe it was the loneliness. Maybe it was the way he looked at me like he saw more than he should. "You look like you've been through a lot," I said. He smiled a small, tired smile. "You could say that." "You can talk about it if you want," I said. He shook his head. "Not yet. Maybe later." I nodded. I knew that feeling, wanting to speak but not trusting your own voice. He looked around the room. "This house feels safe." "It was my family's," I said. 3 generations lived here." He studied the walls, the old frames, the worn floor. "You keep it alive." "I try," I said. "They protected many things. Memories. History. Our name." When I said the last word, I felt something twist in my chest. "Your name," he repeated. "Important to you?" "It was important to them," I said. "I'm just trying to honor it." He nodded slowly. "Names can carry weight," he whispered. "Sometimes too much weight." I looked at him. "What kind of weight are you carrying?" Ethan didn't answer at first. He stared at the fire again. I lost my home, he said quietly. And people I cared about. I'm sorry, I said. He shrugged. Storms take what they want. His words were simple, but his eyes showed a deeper story. Painful. Heavy. Do you have anywhere else to go? I asked. No, he said. Not tonight. You can stay here until the storm stops. You sure? He asked. Yes, I said. It's fine. He breathed out in relief. Thank you. But something about the way he said it felt too heavy. Like there was more behind the thank you. Something I didn't understand. He placed his cup on the table. Why'd you open the door? You knocked, I said. That's simple. Yes, I said. I don't like leaving someone in danger. He stared at me for a long moment. You're kind, he said. People aren't kind anymore. I don't know about that. I do, he said. You don't meet many people willing to help. He leaned back in the chair, and the firelight hit his face. I noticed a scar near his jaw. I hadn't seen it before. What happened there? I asked. He touched it lightly. An old mistake. You mean an accident? I asked. Something like that, he said. He wasn't lying, but he wasn't telling the truth either. The wind hit the windows hard. I flinched. You scared of storms? He asked softly. Not scared, I said. Just alert. Why? Storms bring trouble. He smiled faintly. So do people. His tone changed when he said that. Colder. Sharper. I didn't know why, but it made my stomach tighten. You look tired, I said. You can sleep on the couch. Are you sure I'm not a problem? He asked. If I thought that, I wouldn't let you in. He nodded slowly. That's good, he said. Trust matters. He stood up, walked toward the couch, and stopped halfway. You have a strong heart, he said. I can see it. Strong? I laughed. Most days, I feel like I'm barely holding on. That's what makes it strong, he said. His eyes softened again. For a moment, he looked almost safe. But then I saw it, his hands shaking. Not from cold. From something else. Fear? Anger? Guilt? I couldn't tell. Ethan, I said, what were you doing out there? He paused. I was running, he said. From what? From myself, he said. My breath caught. Is someone after you? No, he said. Not yet. Not yet? I repeated. He looked at me like he regretted the words. I shouldn't have said that, he murmured. Ethan, are you in danger? We all are, he said. Some more than others. He lay on the couch, pulling the blanket over him. Can I trust you? I asked. Yes, he said. You can trust me. His voice sounded honest. His eyes did not. I turned off the lamp, leaving only the fire burning. Before closing my bedroom door, I looked back one more time. Ethan was staring at the ceiling, his face unreadable. Good night, I said. Good night, he replied. And, thank you for letting me in. I nodded. But when I lay in bed, the storm outside didn't scare me. He did. Not because he was dangerous. But because something about him felt like a warning I didn't understand. And deep inside, a quiet voice whispered. You should have kept the door closed. Chapter 2, The First Cracks. I woke early that morning. The rain had stopped, but the sky still looked gray. The air felt cold on my skin as I stepped outside the cabin. I saw Ethan standing near the old fence, staring at the empty road like he waited for someone. I said, "You woke early." He did not look at me. "I just needed air," he said. His voice sounded flat, like his thoughts were far away. I walked closer and said, "You can rest inside. You're still hurt." He finally looked at me. "I'm fine," he said. But he didn't look fine. His eyes looked heavy, tired, almost scared. I said, "Where did you work before? You said you traveled." He paused. "I worked with horses," he said. "Where?" I asked. He shrugged. "Different places." The answer felt thin, weak. Something small cracked inside me, like a tiny sound you hear but pretend you didn't. We walked back to the house. My mother Grace stood by the stove, stirring a pot. She looked at Ethan, then at me. "His eyes hide storms," she whispered when Ethan stepped outside. I said, "Mama, please." She shook her head. "I lived long enough to know. Be careful." I didn't answer her. I didn't want to think about storms or danger or secrets. Ethan had been hurt. He needed help. I wanted to believe that was all. When he came back in, I said, "You can stay until you're better." He said softly, "Thank you." His voice almost broke on the last word, and I felt something heavy in my chest, something like sympathy or maybe something deeper. I said, "It's all right. We help people here." He sat at the table. My mother placed a bowl in front of him. He said, "Your mother is kind." I smiled. "She is. She acts strong, but her heart is soft." My mother gave me a look, like she wanted to warn me again but kept quiet. After breakfast I walked out to the barn. Ethan followed. "You don't need to work," I said. "I need to move," he said. "If I sit too long, I think too much." "What do you think about?" I asked. He looked down. "Nothing good." We cleaned the barn in silence for a while. Dust rose in the morning light. The smell of hay filled the air. I said, "You can tell me things, you know." He said, "Can I?" "Yes," I said. "I don't judge people." He leaned on the barn wall. "People always judge," he said. "They smile, then they judge." I said, "Not here." He looked at me again, but this time his eyes looked darker, like shadows sat inside them. Later that afternoon my mother said, "Walk with me." We stepped outside. The wind pushed my hair back. The sky looked heavy again. She said, "He lies." "Mama. Don't say you didn't feel it," she said. I stayed silent. "He lies," she repeated. "Men who lie bring storms. I know that truth." I said slowly, "He's hurt." She said, "Some wounds live deeper than skin." I walked away before she said more. My chest felt tight. I didn't want warnings. I didn't want fear. I just wanted peace. I wanted quiet days, simple hours, the sound of horses and the smell of dry grass. I wanted a world without threats. Ethan helped me carry water. He said, "Your mother doesn't like me." "She doesn't know you," I said. He said, "Do you?" His question froze me. I said softly, "I try to." He looked at me for a long moment. "People stop trying when they hear the truth," he said. We sat on the steps of the cabin. The light touched his face gently, and for a moment he looked younger, softer, almost gentle. I said, "You can talk to me." He said, "Talking makes things real." I looked down at my hands. "I talk too much," I said. "I talk when I'm scared. I talk when I'm sad. My father used to say I fill the silence because I'm afraid of what silence shows." Ethan asked, "What did silence show?" I swallowed. "Pain," I said. "My father, he left many wounds." Ethan said quietly, "People leave wounds when they leave promises." I felt a pull inside me, something shared, something painful. I didn't know how to name it. I said, "You remind me of someone who ran from storms." He said, "Maybe I am a storm." I said, "No. Storms don't ask for shelter." He looked away. "I didn't ask," he said. "You didn't have to," I whispered. We sat there in silence for a long time. The wind moved across the dry land. A hawk flew above us, circling slowly. I said, "Tell me why you traveled alone." He closed his eyes. I didn't want to answer questions. "That's not an answer," I said. He said, "It's the only one I have." That night, my mother called me to her room. She said, "Your father trusted the wrong man once. It cost him everything." I said, "This is different." "No," she said. "It never is." I shook my head. "He's not dangerous." She said, "Danger rarely arrives loudly. It whispers." I hated how her words stayed in my mind even after I went to my room. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. I heard footsteps outside. I thought it was my mother, but when I looked out the window, I saw Ethan walking toward the barn, slow and tired. I pulled on my shawl and went after him. I said, "Ethan?" He turned fast, like he expected trouble. I said, "It's just me." He sighed. "I couldn't sleep." "Nightmares?" I asked. He nodded. I said, "Do you want to talk?" "No," he said. "Talking keeps the pain alive." We stood in the barn doorway. The smell of hay mixed with the cold air. I said, "You helped today." My mother saw that. He said, "Kindness doesn't erase fear." I said, "You're not a bad man." "How do you know?" "I feel it," I said. He stepped closer. His voice dropped. "Feelings lie." "Not mine," I whispered. His eyes softened, then hardened again. "You don't know me." I said, "Then let me." He shook his head. "People want stories. They don't want truth." "I want truth," I said. He looked away. "You won't like mine." We walked back to the house together. The night felt colder. The wind carried some strange weight with it. When we reached the steps, he said, "Thank you for today." I said, "It was nothing." "It was everything," he said softly. The next morning, I found him near the fields, staring at the far hills. I said, "Thinking again?" He nodded. I said, "You don't have to hide." He said, "Sometimes hiding is the only way to live." I said, "Not here." He said, "Every place has shadows." I said, "Not every place has you." He flinched, like my words hurt him. He said, "Don't give me more than I can carry." "I'm not giving anything," I said. "I'm just trying to understand." He said, "Understanding comes with a price." I said, "Then I'll pay it." He looked at me sharply. "Don't say that." "Why not?" "Because people pay more than they expect," he whispered. His words chilled me. I didn't know why. They felt too heavy for morning light. We walked back. My mother watched from the window. I knew what she would say. I knew her warnings. I knew her fears. But something in me kept pulling toward Ethan, even when he pulled away. That afternoon, he helped fix the barn roof. I said, "You didn't need to climb." He said, "I needed to feel useful." I said, "You already are." He smiled, but only for a second. When the roof was done, he sat beside me in the shade. He said, "Tell me something real." I said, "I feel lonely sometimes." He nodded. "Lonely people see lonely people." I said, "Is that why you stayed?" He said, "I stayed because you opened the door." I touched the old wooden step with my hand. "Do you regret it?" He didn't answer at first. Then he said, "I regret many things. Not this." The wind grew stronger. Dust rose across the yard. I felt a strange worry, like something unseen waited in the distance. Ethan said, "Your family name is known." I said, "Not for good reasons." He said, "People talk." I said, "People always talk." He said, "What did they say about your father?" My throat tightened. "Enough," I said. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I didn't mean." "It's all right," I said. But it wasn't. Later, my mother asked, "Did he say more lies?" I said, "No." She looked hard at me. "You stopped hearing them." I walked outside again, needing air. Ethan stood under the big oak tree. I said, "Why did you ask about my father?" He said, "I needed to know something." "What?" I asked. He said, "If hurt runs in families." I said, "Does it?" He said, "Sometimes." I felt something shift inside me then, something quiet but painful. The sun began to set. The land turned gold and soft. Ethan said, "I should leave soon." My heart dropped. "Why?" He said, "I don't belong here." I whispered, "You can stay." He said, "If I stay, things break." "What things?" "Good things," he said. My chest tightened. "Then let them break," I said. "No," he whispered. "You don't deserve that." I stepped closer. "Then tell me the truth." He stepped back. "I can't." "You can," I said. "You just won't." He looked at me with something like pain. "You should have listened to your mother." "Why?" He said, "Because danger rarely arrives loudly. It whispers." Those were the last words he said before he walked inside, leaving me cold, confused, and afraid of things I couldn't yet name. But I felt the crack then. Small. Soft. Quiet. The first crack that would one day break everything. Chapter 4, The Accusation That Broke Me. I woke up to whispers that cut through the morning air. People moved quietly on the street, but their eyes followed me. Something was wrong. My stomach tightened, and my chest felt heavy. I pulled my shawl around me and stepped outside. I could hear my name, my father's name, being twisted in the air. Hale, fraud, bribery, the words stung. I froze on the porch, listening. Every person I saw seemed to know. Some avoided my eyes. Others stared with suspicion. The town felt smaller. My home felt smaller. My mother's voice rang in my mind, warning me about strangers. I should have listened. The first note came pinned to our gate. I picked it up, hands trembling. The paper was neat, formal, and cruel. It said my father had taken money from the town council. Bribes. Corruption. Lies. My eyes scanned the lines again. I could not breathe. My mind searched for logic. Letters from my father. They were safe. Or so I thought. Then I noticed the edges. Someone had rewritten the letters. The words were familiar, yet wrong. Twisted. Distorted. I dropped the note. My heart pounded. "Mama," I whispered. Grace Hale appeared behind me, hair messy, eyes wide. "What is it, Maria?" Her voice trembled slightly, but she tried to stay firm. She sensed fear too. I handed her the note. Her hands shook as she read. Her lips parted, then pressed together. She looked away, shaking her head. They can't, this isn't true, she said finally. They said it is, I whispered, tears blurring my vision. From the corner of my eye, I saw my sister Nora. She leaned against the fence, arms crossed. Her face was pale. She bit her lip. You trusted him, she said slowly, voice sharp. You let him in. You let him, in our home. And now this? I opened my mouth, but no words came. The accusation hung in the air like smoke. I could taste it. Bitter, thick, choking. I felt dizzy. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But I could not. I remembered Ethan's face from the stormy night. His dark eyes, calm and controlled. He had said nothing then. He had smiled politely. He had seemed grateful. And now this. My stomach turned. My hands felt icy. I wanted to believe him, but the evidence was cruel. His fingerprints were on the letters. Subtle, careful, hidden, but undeniable. I ran inside, heart hammering. Ethan! I shouted. Come here. Now! The door creaked. His head appeared. Maria? What's wrong? He stepped inside, calm, polite, almost caring. His eyes flicked to the papers on the table. What is this? This! I shouted, pointing at the notes. Do you see this? This is what you've done. I don't know what you mean, he said softly. I know. I cried. I saw your marks. You rewrote my father's letters. You lied about everything. You betrayed us. My hands shook. My voice grew higher, trembling with fear and anger. He stepped closer, smiling, almost amused. Maybe you don't know your father as well as you think, he said quietly. The words hit me like a stone. I stumbled back, clutching the table for support. My vision blurred. My knees felt weak. I wanted to fall, to sink into the floor. My father's name, my family's honor, everything I had believed in, was being ripped apart. And I had invited this man into my life. How could you? I whispered, voice trembling. I saved you from the storm, he said calmly. I gave you shelter. And now, he paused, letting the words hang. You are angry at me? I shook my head. My tears fell freely. No. I am angry at what you did. At how you lied. At how you destroyed my father's name. Ethan shrugged, almost lazily. I didn't destroy him. You did. By trusting me. By letting me in. The words burned into my chest. I felt dizzy. I wanted to hit him. I wanted to scream until my voice broke. Instead, I sank onto the chair. My sister Nora stepped forward. You can't be serious, she said. You're blaming her for this? Ethan turned to Nora, eyes calm, almost chilling. She made the choice. I only acted on it. My mother's hand touched my shoulder. Maria, breathe, she said softly. We will find a way. This isn't the end. But it felt like the end. My father's name, my family's reputation, torn apart in hours. I had sheltered a man who now used our trust as a weapon. I wanted to run. I wanted to hide. But I could not. I had to face it. I picked up the rewritten letters, hands shaking. Each one was a knife in my chest. I saw my father's careful handwriting, turned into lies by Ethan's hand. My heart ached. My chest felt tight. My legs felt weak. I stood in front of him, fists clenched. Why? I asked. Why would you do this? He smiled, cold. Power, he said simply. Control. People respect fear more than kindness. I stumbled back. I had never felt so small. So powerless. The man I saved, the man I gave shelter, was a monster. My trust had been his weapon. Nora's face twisted. You were too soft, she spat. You should have seen him. You should have known. I turned to her. No. I trusted. And I will survive. That is all that matters now. The town's whispers grew louder. I could hear them through the windows. They were cruel. Accusing. Pointing. I felt my stomach churn. I wanted to explain. To fight. But my voice seemed small. Fragile. I walked to the window, looking at the people passing. Faces turned. Eyes watched. I felt exposed. Naked. Vulnerable. And still, I knew I had to fight. I could not let Ethan destroy everything. I could not let him win. I took a deep breath. My hands shook less now. My mind cleared. I had survived storms before. I had lost my father, my home, almost my hope. But I still stood. I still had a voice. Ethan watched me silently. Calm. Calculating. His expression unreadable. I hated him more than words could say. But I could not let hate consume me. I had to use it. To fight back. To protect my family's name. I turned to my mother. We will fix this, I said quietly. I will not let him tear us apart. Grace nodded. We will stand together, she said. No matter what he does. Nora stepped closer. I am with you, she said softly, voice shaking. I clenched my fists. The storm inside me was strong. I would fight. I would survive. Ethan had underestimated me. That would be his mistake. The accusations continued to spread. Letters in the town, whispers on the streets, eyes watching my every move. But I no longer felt helpless. I had a plan. I had resolve. And I had truth on my side. I picked up the first letter. Studied the handwriting. My father's words, twisted into lies. I pressed my lips to the paper. I will fix this, Papa, I whispered. I swear I will fix this. Ethan's smirk did not frighten me anymore. He had thought he could break me. He had thought I would crumble under his lies. He had no idea. I would survive. I would fight. And one day, he would pay for what he did. The storm outside mirrored the storm inside me. Rain battered the windows. Wind rattled the shutters. And I, for the first time, welcomed the storm. Because storms could be survived. Lies could be revealed. And I would not fall. I drew in a deep breath. The fight was just beginning. My father's name would be cleared. Ethan's betrayal would be exposed. And I, Maria Hale, would stand at the end, stronger than ever. Chapter 4, The Accusation That Broke Me. I woke up to whispers that cut through the morning air. People moved quietly on the street, but their eyes followed me. Something was wrong. My stomach tightened, and my chest felt heavy. I pulled my shawl around me and stepped outside. I could hear my name, my father's name, being twisted in the air. Hale, fraud, bribery, the words stung. I froze on the porch, listening. Every person I saw seemed to know. Some avoided my eyes. Others stared with suspicion. The town felt smaller. My home felt smaller. My mother's voice rang in my mind, warning me about strangers. I should have listened. The first note came pinned to our gate. I picked it up, hands trembling. The paper was neat, formal, and cruel. It said my father had taken money from the town council. Bribes. Corruption. Lies. My eyes scanned the lines again. I could not breathe. My mind searched for logic. Letters from my father. They were safe. Or so I thought. Then I noticed the edges. Someone had rewritten the letters. The words were familiar, yet wrong. Twisted. Distorted. I dropped the note. My heart pounded. "Mama," I whispered. Grace Hale appeared behind me, hair messy, eyes wide. "What is it, Maria?" Her voice trembled slightly, but she tried to stay firm. She sensed fear too. I handed her the note. Her hands shook as she read. Her lips parted, then pressed together. She looked away, shaking her head. They can't, this isn't true," she said finally. "They said it is," I whispered, tears blurring my vision. From the corner of my eye, I saw my sister Nora. She leaned against the fence, arms crossed. Her face was pale. She bit her lip. "You trusted him," she said slowly, voice sharp. "You let him in. You let him, in our home. And now this?" I opened my mouth, but no words came. The accusation hung in the air like smoke. I could taste it. Bitter, thick, choking. I felt dizzy. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But I could not. I remembered Ethan's face from the stormy night. His dark eyes, calm and controlled. He had said nothing then. He had smiled politely. He had seemed grateful. And now this. My stomach turned. My hands felt icy. I wanted to believe him, but the evidence was cruel. His fingerprints were on the letters. Subtle, careful, hidden, but undeniable. I ran inside, heart hammering. "Ethan!" I shouted. "Come here. Now!" The door creaked. His head appeared. "Maria? What's wrong?" He stepped inside, calm, polite, almost caring. His eyes flicked to the papers on the table. "What is this?" "This!" I shouted, pointing at the notes. "Do you see this? This is what you've done." I don't know what you mean," he said softly. "I know." I cried. "I saw your marks. You rewrote my father's letters. You lied about everything. You betrayed us." My hands shook. My voice grew higher, trembling with fear and anger. He stepped closer, smiling, almost amused. "Maybe you don't know your father as well as you think," he said quietly. The words hit me like a stone. I stumbled back, clutching the table for support. My vision blurred. My knees felt weak. I wanted to fall, to sink into the floor. My father's name, my family's honor, everything I had believed in, was being ripped apart. And I had invited this man into my life. How could you?" I whispered, voice trembling. "I saved you from the storm," he said calmly. "I gave you shelter. And now," he paused, letting the words hang. "You are angry at me?" I shook my head. My tears fell freely. "No. I am angry at what you did. At how you lied. At how you destroyed my father's name." Ethan shrugged, almost lazily. "I didn't destroy him. You did. By trusting me. By letting me in." The words burned into my chest. I felt dizzy. I wanted to hit him. I wanted to scream until my voice broke. Instead, I sank onto the chair. My sister Nora stepped forward. "You can't be serious," she said. "You're blaming her for this?" Ethan turned to Nora, eyes calm, almost chilling. "She made the choice. I only acted on it." My mother's hand touched my shoulder. "Maria, breathe," she said softly. "We will find a way. This isn't the end." But it felt like the end. My father's name, my family's reputation, torn apart in hours. I had sheltered a man who now used our trust as a weapon. I wanted to run. I wanted to hide. But I could not. I had to face it. I picked up the rewritten letters, hands shaking. Each one was a knife in my chest. I saw my father's careful handwriting, turned into lies by Ethan's hand. My heart ached. My chest felt tight. My legs felt weak. I stood in front of him, fists clenched. "Why?" I asked. "Why would you do this?" He smiled, cold. "Power," he said simply. "Control. People respect fear more than kindness." I stumbled back. I had never felt so small. So powerless. The man I saved, the man I gave shelter, was a monster. My trust had been his weapon. Nora's face twisted. "You were too soft," she spat. "You should have seen him. You should have known." I turned to her. "No. I trusted. And I will survive. That is all that matters now." The town's whispers grew louder. I could hear them through the windows. They were cruel. Accusing. Pointing. I felt my stomach churn. I wanted to explain. To fight. But my voice seemed small. Fragile. I walked to the window, looking at the people passing. Faces turned. Eyes watched. I felt exposed. Naked. Vulnerable. And still, I knew I had to fight. I could not let Ethan destroy everything. I could not let him win. I took a deep breath. My hands shook less now. My mind cleared. I had survived storms before. I had lost my father, my home, almost my hope. But I still stood. I still had a voice. Ethan watched me silently. Calm. Calculating. His expression unreadable. I hated him more than words could say. But I could not let hate consume me. I had to use it. To fight back. To protect my family's name. I turned to my mother. "We will fix this," I said quietly. "I will not let him tear us apart." Grace nodded. "We will stand together," she said. "No matter what he does." Nora stepped closer. "I am with you," she said softly, voice shaking. I clenched my fists. The storm inside me was strong. I would fight. I would survive. Ethan had underestimated me. That would be his mistake. The accusations continued to spread. Letters in the town, whispers on the streets, eyes watching my every move. But I no longer felt helpless. I had a plan. I had resolve. And I had truth on my side. I picked up the first letter. Studied the handwriting. My father's words, twisted into lies. I pressed my lips to the paper. "I will fix this, Papa," I whispered. "I swear I will fix this." Ethan's smirk did not frighten me anymore. He had thought he could break me. He had thought I would crumble under his lies. He had no idea. I would survive. I would fight. And one day, he would pay for what he did. The storm outside mirrored the storm inside me. Rain battered the windows. Wind rattled the shutters. And I, for the first time, welcomed the storm. Because storms could be survived. Lies could be revealed. And I would not fall. I drew in a deep breath. The fight was just beginning. My father's name would be cleared. Ethan's betrayal would be exposed. And I, Maria Hale, would stand at the end, stronger than ever. Chapter 5, Silence Has a Price. The town turned cold the next morning. I walked down Main Street, hoping for friendly faces. But people looked away. Some whispered behind their hands. She helped him, I heard one woman mutter. My heart sank. I swallowed hard and kept walking. I sat on the porch with Lena later. She put her hand on mine. Maria, she said softly, lies spread faster than truth. People forget the truth first. I nodded, but the words barely reached me. My mind raced with guilt. I helped him. I trusted him. And now everyone thought I was part of his lies. Pastor Raymond visited that afternoon. His eyes were calm but serious. Surviving the storm is different from understanding it, he said. I frowned. I don't understand, Father. He leaned closer. You must learn what he wants before you fight. His words stayed in my mind long after he left. Ethan appeared at my door that evening. His smile was calm, like a cat that caught the mouse. I could feel my stomach twist. We need to talk, I said, trying to sound strong. He nodded slowly. Of course, he replied. His tone was smooth. Too smooth. My hands trembled slightly as I closed the door behind him. We sat across from each other at the small kitchen table. Candlelight flickered, casting shadows on the walls. Why are you doing this? I demanded. Why ruin my father's name? He sipped from a glass of water. You gave me everything I needed, he said softly. His eyes did not waver. I blinked. I don't understand, I whispered. The words felt weak. Lena watched from the doorway. Her jaw was tight. I felt a flicker of shame for letting him in. For trusting him. For thinking he was safe. He leaned back, his fingers tapping the table slowly. I only took what was offered, he said. The calmness in his voice terrified me more than anger ever could. I stood abruptly, chair scraping the wooden floor. You're lying, I said, my voice shaking. You can't just destroy everything. He shrugged. I didn't lie, he said. You didn't stop me. The words hit me like a cold wind. I wanted to scream. My chest felt tight, my hands clenched. My mother's warnings echoed in my mind. Outside, the wind howled. I heard a distant dog bark. The shadows from the candle stretched across the walls. I felt trapped. Every time I tried to speak, the words caught in my throat. Ethan's calm stare pinned me down. I realized I was no longer the one in control. The town already whispered. The noose tightened, and I could not see the end. I sank back into my chair. Lena came to my side and whispered, "We will find a way." I nodded but could not smile. My guilt weighed heavily. My father's letters, my sister's trust, the town's eyes, all felt like a trap I could not escape. Why me? I muttered to the empty kitchen. Ethan's shadow loomed silently, a reminder of what I had allowed. He sipped his water again. Because you trusted, he said simply. I wanted to argue. I wanted to strike. But my voice failed. I spent the night thinking. Every memory of kindness I had given him replayed. Every smile, every meal, every quiet word of comfort, it had all been used against me. The town would not forgive me soon. Perhaps never. By morning, I realized something. Silence has a price. My trust, my words, my heart, they had all been spent. And the storm was only beginning. I took a deep breath and promised myself I would fight. Somehow. But first, I had to understand him. I had to see the man behind the calm smile. The noose tightened, but my mind sharpened. I would not be broken completely. Chapter 6, The Face Behind His Lies. I was alone in the kitchen, cleaning the spilled tea from my counter. My hands shook. I could not stop thinking about Ethan. His calm face, his soft voice, the way he smiled while hiding something. I heard a knock at the door. My heart jumped. "Who is it?" I asked, my voice trembling. "It's Daniel," a young man said. "I need to talk to you." Daniel. Ethan's son. I froze. My hands gripped the counter tighter. "Daniel? What, how, why are you here?" I stammered. He pushed the door open. Rain dripped from his coat. His eyes were sharp, serious. He looked older than his years, tired. "I came because you need to know the truth," he said. I stepped aside. "Come in. Please." He entered quietly, scanning the room. "I know what Ethan did," he said. "I know everything." I shook my head. "I don't understand." He sighed. "Ethan destroys anyone who stands between him and power. He lies, he cheats, he manipulates." I felt a cold wave in my stomach. "What do you mean?" I whispered. Daniel walked closer. "He plans to ruin your entire family, not just your father's memory. He uses secrets, twists stories, and hides behind his charm. He's not the man you think he is." I wanted to speak, but no words came out. My hands were clammy. My chest felt tight. Why are you telling me this?" "Because you sheltered him," Daniel said. "You trusted him. And now he will destroy you if you do nothing." I felt the walls of my house close in. I remembered the stormy night I let him in. I remembered his wet coat, his shivering body, his grateful smile. I had thought I was helping a man in need. I had no idea I invited a wolf into my home. Tears pricked my eyes. I didn't know. I didn't know he was like this. Daniel's face softened. "I know. That's why I came. I want to help you." I shook my head, voice trembling. "How? How can anyone stop him?" "You start by knowing the truth," Daniel said. He handed me a folder. "These are documents, letters, things he hid. He will use them. He wants to make your father look guilty. He wants to erase everything your family worked for." I took the folder with shaking hands. I opened it slowly. Papers, letters, notes, all carefully organized. My father's handwriting. My mother's letters. Secrets I never knew he kept. Every word seemed to scream betrayal. I sank into the chair. My chest burned. "All this, he wants to use this against us?" I asked. Daniel nodded. "Yes. He manipulates people. He lies. He spreads rumors. He creates distrust. He knows the town will believe him if he pretends to be the victim." I felt a flash of anger. He can't. I won't let him." Daniel leaned closer. "You need to plan. You need to be careful. He is dangerous, and he is clever. He is not just ruining your father. He wants to ruin you too." I gripped the folder. I brought this into my house. I invited him. I should have seen it." "You did not know," Daniel said softly. "No one could have. But now you do. And now you can act. I closed my eyes. Guilt filled me. I thought of my father, of the letters he left behind, of the stormy night I let Ethan in. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. But then I felt something else. Something sharper. Something stronger. I will not let him win, I whispered. I will protect my family. I will protect my father's name. Daniel nodded. Good. You have courage. You just need to focus it. I opened my eyes and looked at him. I need your help. Can you help me stop him? I will, Daniel said. But we must be careful. He has friends. He has allies. He will try to manipulate everyone around you. I clenched my fists. I don't care. I will not let him do this. Not to us. Not to me. Daniel handed me another folder. These are records he tried to hide. He will lie about them. You need evidence. You need proof. I took it, my hands steady now. My fear was still there, but it had shifted. It was now fire, determination. I understand. Thank you. He nodded. I know you did not want this storm. But now it is here. You can either run or fight. It is your choice. I looked at the rain outside the window. The storm still raged. But I did not feel trapped anymore. I felt awake. I felt ready. Then we fight, I said. Daniel smiled slightly. Yes. Together. We went over the documents. We pieced together the lies Ethan told. Every small detail, every rumor, every half-truth. He had left trails everywhere, but Daniel had noticed. I learned quickly, my mind sharpening with every word. I started seeing the patterns Ethan left behind. I whispered to myself, how could I have been so blind? Daniel reminded me, you were kind. That is your strength, not weakness. But kindness can be used against you. Now, you must use it to see clearly. Hours passed. I felt my body tire, but my mind raced. I wrote notes, made lists, and began to plan how to confront Ethan. I realized I could not trust anyone in the town yet. Only Daniel. Only me. At one point, I paused, looking at the rain streaking down the window. I remembered the night I brought him in. The warmth, the soft smile, the gratitude. And now, all I felt was betrayal and anger. I clenched my fists, whispering, I will not cry. I will not falter. I will make him pay for this, in truth. Daniel placed a hand on my shoulder. You are stronger than you know. Use that. I nodded, feeling the fire inside me. For the first time, guilt turned into strategy. For the first time, fear became a tool. I would not just survive. I would fight back. I will protect my family. I will protect my father's memory. And I will expose him, I said firmly. Daniel smiled faintly. Then the storm has begun. But it ends with you. I looked around the room. The house, once a safe place, now felt like a battleground. But I did not tremble. I did not falter. I would face Ethan. And I would win. The rain outside began to ease. But inside, my resolve was a thunderstorm. I gathered the papers, arranged them, and whispered to myself again, no more lies. No more hiding. I see him now. Daniel watched me quietly. Tomorrow, we move. Tonight, you rest. You need strength. I nodded. I felt a strange calm amidst the chaos. My fear had transformed into purpose. I had brought a wolf into my home. But now, I was learning how to tame the storm he had started. I whispered softly, almost to myself, I will not let him ruin me. For the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope. And that glimmer was enough to start the fight. Chapter 7, What My Father Tried to Tell Me. I sat on the dusty attic floor, holding my father's letters in my hands. The smell of old paper hit me. Dust floated in the weak sunlight through the small window. My hands shook. I unfolded a letter carefully. My father's handwriting was neat but firm. I read slowly. Every word felt heavy. Every sentence seemed alive. He warned me, about who? I whispered to myself. I scanned the names again. Collins. Ethan. My mind froze. Ethan? The man I sheltered. The man I thought I could trust. I shook my head. My stomach twisted. I remembered the nights he stayed in my house. The way he listened quietly. The polite words he said. The small smiles he gave me. Everything I trusted now felt like a lie. I picked up another letter. My father wrote about threats, danger, and secrets he could not speak aloud. I felt guilt claw at me. I had brought a storm into my home. I had invited the very man who destroyed us. Why didn't you tell me? I said to the empty attic. Why did you leave it all for me to find? The wind rattled the old window panes. I hugged the letters to my chest. I could feel my father's voice in them. I could feel his warning. I realized I had been blind. My grief became anger. A fire started inside me. I heard the creak of the front door. My sister, Nora, entered. Her eyes were suspicious. She frowned. What are you doing up here? She asked. I found these, I said, my voice shaking. Letters from Dad. Nora looked at me. Again with the past? It doesn't matter now. Everything is ruined. No, I said, standing. It matters. It matters more than anything. He tried to protect us. He tried to save this town. And we ignored it. Nora crossed her arms. Ignored it? You trust him. You let Ethan into our home. And now? Now I understand, I said, gripping the letters. He was using my father's name to cover his crimes. He worked with Collins. They planned everything. We were just pawns. Nora stared at me. I could see doubt flicker in her eyes. I needed her on my side. I needed someone who remembered truth, not lies. Listen to me, I said. We can fight back. Not with guns, not with threats. With the truth. My father left it for us. All the proof we need. She hesitated. Then her eyes softened. You think we can? I know we can, I said, voice stronger than I expected. We have the letters. We have what he fears the most, our words, our knowledge, our courage. I went to the old desk where more letters lay. I spread them across the wooden surface. I read each name, each code, each hidden warning. Patterns appeared. Connections between Collins and Ethan. Collusion. Lies. Threats. Secrets. My father had written everything down for a reason. I felt his presence in the room. Watching me. Guiding me. You're serious, Nora whispered. I have to be, I said. I will not let them destroy us. Not our name. Not our family. Not what my father gave his life to protect. I folded one letter and held it close. My hands shook again. But this time, it was different. It was not fear. It was determination. Who will help us? Nora asked. I will gather allies, I said. Lena will come. Pastor Raymond will listen. Even Daniel, Ethan's son, might help us. He hates his father's lies as much as we do. Nora nodded slowly. I saw the spark of hope in her eyes. I felt it too. The attic grew quieter. Only the wind and the faint creak of the house broke the silence. I thought of Ethan. His face, calm, confident, cruel. My stomach tightened. I hated him. I hated what he had done. But I knew anger alone would not help. I needed strategy. I needed proof. I needed truth to be louder than lies. I walked down the stairs, letters still in hand. My mother, Grace, was in the kitchen, making tea. She looked up at me. Her eyes were tired, filled with worry. Maria, she said softly, you've been in the attic all day. What are you doing? I placed the letters on the table. I'm learning the truth, I said. All of it. Father's warnings. Names. Codes. Ethan. Collins. Everything. Grace frowned. Ethan? That man? Yes, I said firmly. He was never the man he claimed to be. He used us. He used Dad's name to cover his crimes. And now I know what we must do. Grace sat down, hands trembling slightly. How do we fight someone like that? We use what he fears, I said. Truth. Letters. Words. His lies will crumble in the light. And we will stand together. Our family, our name, finally safe. She nodded slowly. I believe you. I trust you. But be careful, Maria. Men like Ethan, they don't forgive. I don't need forgiveness, I said. I need justice. I need to finish what Father started. The letters lay across the kitchen table, sunlight glinting off the ink. Each word was a weapon. Each sentence a shield. I memorized the connections. I traced the patterns. Every secret, every hidden motive, every betrayal became clear. I whispered to myself, I will not let them win. I could feel the fire rising in my chest. The grief that once crushed me became energy. Energy to act. Energy to protect my family. Energy to expose the lies. Nora sat beside me. We fight together? Yes, I said. We fight together. We are stronger than they think. I made a list of allies. Lena, Pastor Raymond, Daniel. I would approach them tomorrow. Tonight, I prepared my mind. I read the letters one last time. Every word mattered. Every hidden warning mattered. The wind outside howled. Rain began to patter on the roof. The storm reminded me of the night Ethan arrived. How naive I was then. But now, I was awake. I was ready. I whispered to the attic, to the empty house, to my father's memory, I will finish what you started. I will protect our name. I will not fail. The letters felt heavier now, but the weight was different. It was responsibility. It was fire. It was power. I felt alive. Tomorrow, I would act. Tomorrow, the lies would start to fall. And for the first time in months, I felt hope. Chapter 8, When They Tried to Break Me Again. I woke to whispers outside my window. The town already knew. They said my family's name was ruined. My stomach sank. My hands shook. I wanted to hide. But I did not. I got dressed, my mother beside me. They called you unstable again, she said softly. Her voice trembled. Do not let them see your fear. I won't, I whispered. My voice sounded small even to me. I stepped outside. People stared. Some looked at me with pity. Others with curiosity. I clenched my fists. I would not run. Ethan walked up behind me. His tall frame blocked the sunlight. He smiled. It was a cruel smile. "You thought you could stop me," he said. "You thought you could protect your father's lies?" "I am not afraid of you anymore," I said. My voice shook. But I forced it stronger. "You cannot control me." Collins joined him. His face was pale. "People are talking, Maria. Your family's reputation, gone." "You will not decide that," I shouted. My eyes met his. "I decide. I choose what truth they hear." They laughed. Cold. Mocking. I felt my heart beat fast. My mother held my arm. She whispered, "Stay strong, Maria." "I will," I said. My sister, Nora, stood behind me. She did not touch me, but her eyes gave me strength. Ethan stepped closer. "You think you can fight me? You are fragile. You always were." "I am not fragile," I shouted. "I am my father's daughter. I have survived storms you cannot imagine." The crowd murmured. Some gasped. Others whispered. I knew not all believed me yet. But some did. Daniel appeared suddenly. My heart jumped. "I will stand with her," he said loudly. "I know Ethan. I know his lies." Ethan turned toward him. His eyes darkened. You are nothing. A boy with no power." "I am more than you think," Daniel said. His voice shook, but he did not step back. I felt hope. For the first time, I did not feel alone. My allies were here. My courage grew. Ethan laughed again. "Do you all hear this? They all betray me." He stepped forward, trying to look taller. His shadow fell over me. I stood taller. I would not bend. I faced him, my hands trembling, my voice loud. "I am not betrayed. I am free. And your lies will not last." The town was quiet. Children peered from windows. Older men frowned. Women whispered behind hands. The tension was heavy. I could feel it in the air, thick as fog. "You dare humiliate me?" Ethan spat. "I saved you once, and this is how you repay me?" "You saved nothing," I shouted. "You took, you lied, you destroyed. I trusted you. I opened my home. And you tore my life apart." His mouth opened. Closed. His face twisted. Rage mixed with surprise. I felt a small victory. "You think your words can hurt me," he said, finally. His voice cracked. I saw it. His control faltering. "Yes," I said. "Yes, they can. Because truth matters. Because lies cannot last." He clenched his fists. His knuckles white. You will regret this," he hissed. "Maybe I will," I said. "But I choose to stand. I choose my voice. I choose my father's truth." Collins muttered beside him. "This will backfire on us." His fear was clear. I looked at Daniel. He nodded. He stood firm. My mother squeezed my hand. I drew a deep breath. My sister, Nora, finally stepped forward. "I was wrong," she said. "I will not let him win." I swallowed tears. Relief and anger mixed inside me. I was shaking. But I did not collapse. Not now. Ethan tried to speak again. But his words faltered. The town listened, watching. His mask slipped. He was human, fragile. Vulnerable. You cannot do this, he said, voice breaking. Yes, I can, I said. I choose justice. I choose truth. I choose life. He backed away slightly. His arrogance faltered. Collins whispered harshly into his ear. I could see panic flicker in his eyes. The wind blew dust across the street. It stung my face, but I stood firm. My father's letters, Daniel's words, my courage, all they were real. All of it was mine. You think you are strong, Ethan said. But you will fall. No, I said firmly. I will rise. I have already fallen and survived. I will not fall again. A crowd member called out, tell us the truth, Maria. Let us hear your side. I nodded. Yes, I said, voice steady now. Hear me. Hear everything I know. Hear the truth about lies, greed, and betrayal. I opened my father's letter. I held it high. The sun caught the paper. It gleamed like fire. Ethan's jaw tightened. He glared. But he knew. Everyone saw the proof. The town gasped. People whispered. Some looked shocked. Others began questioning. You tricked us, Ethan said, finally, voice low. His anger returned, but it was weaker now. Shaky. No, I said. I revealed truth. You hid lies. The choice is yours. But I am done hiding. I felt my heart pounding. My body ached. My voice was hoarse. But I had spoken. And they had listened. Daniel stepped closer. We are done being afraid, he said. I nodded. My mother smiled faintly. Even Nora looked proud. Ethan's mask cracked completely. His hands trembled slightly. Rage, fear, and disbelief crossed his face. You cannot beat me, he said, voice small now. I already have, I said quietly. You lost when you tried to break me. The wind picked up again. Dust swirled. Shadows shifted across the street. I could feel change. My courage burned bright. I looked at the crowd. They stared, some unsure, some beginning to believe. My words had power. My voice mattered. I mattered. Ethan stepped back. Collins scowled. My heart felt lighter. I did not cheer. I did not smile yet. But a quiet strength settled inside me. I had survived another storm. Another test. And I would survive the next. I glanced at Daniel. Thank you, I said softly. He nodded. We are not finished, he said. I know, I whispered. But today I am not afraid. The town's whispers continued. But my fear was gone. My hands no longer shook. My voice no longer trembled. I had found my strength. My family's name would survive. I would survive. And Ethan could no longer control me. I stepped back. The wind blew through the streets, carrying dust and whispers. But I was standing. Firm. Alive. Free. Chapter 9, The Storm I Finally Survived. I could feel the air shift the moment I stepped outside. The sky roared like it was angry at the world. Rain pelted my face, cold and sharp. I didn't care. I didn't run this time. I stood firm. The wind tried to push me back, but I pushed forward. Maria! Lena shouted over the storm. Her hair clung to her wet face. Be careful. It's dangerous out here. I know, I yelled, letting the words get lost in the wind. My hands trembled, but my feet did not move. I needed this moment. I needed to face everything that hurt me. Daniel came close, his jacket soaked, eyes fierce. You're going to speak today, he said, holding out a folder. All the evidence is here. They cannot ignore it. I took it, fingers wet, heart pounding. I hope you're right, I said. My voice cracked, but I kept it loud. My father's letters, Ethan's documents, Colin's papers, they were all there. My life, my family's name, our truth, it was all in my hands. Ethan appeared on the street ahead. His coat flapped in the wind. His face was pale, lips tight. Maria, he called. His voice was sharp, almost angry. You cannot do this. I can, I shouted back. Rain dripped from my hair into my eyes. I blinked but refused to look away. You lied. You stole. You ruined lives. I will not let you continue. He laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. You think a few papers will stop me? You think the town will believe you? They will, I said. Because this time, I speak the truth. The storm intensified, lightning cutting across the sky. I could hear it snap in the distance. I shivered, but I felt alive. The fear that once crushed me now burned as fire inside. I wanted to scream, but I held it. I needed my voice for the town. Pastor Raymond came closer, leaning on his umbrella. Maria, your courage is greater than the storm, he said softly. Speak, and they will hear. I nodded, gripping the folder tighter. My mother and Nora were waiting near the courthouse steps. Grace's eyes were wet but proud. Nora's face was tense. Both were ready to follow me, even if they didn't fully understand my plan. Maria, Lena said, they are listening. The townspeople are gathered. It's your moment. I walked forward, water soaking my shoes, dripping into the street. Each step was a beat of defiance. I felt Ethan's eyes on me, burning with hate. I did not flinch. I did not step back. When I reached the platform in front of the crowd, I raised the folder and took a deep breath. The rain fell harder, drumming against my shoulders, my hair, my soaked dress. I shivered, but my voice rang clear. My father, Samuel Hale, was accused falsely, I said. These accusations were not true. The evidence you have seen, the papers, the letters, they have been twisted by Ethan Ward and Mayor Collins. They wanted to destroy my family and take power for themselves. I saw murmurs run through the crowd. Some people nodded. Some frowned, confused. I ignored them. I had to focus. I was wrong to trust him, I said, voice louder. I let him in during a storm. I thought I was helping a man in need. But he used me. He used my family. He lied. He stole our name. He ruined lives. And he thought he could continue. Daniel stepped forward beside me. I can confirm it, he said. I am Ethan's son. He has lied about everything. I have the proof, the papers, the witnesses. He cannot hide anymore. Ethan's face twisted. You will regret this, he shouted, rain washing his words away. I do not fear you, I replied. My voice steadied. I felt the fire in my chest grow. You cannot take what is mine. You cannot destroy the truth. The crowd grew quiet, listening. Lightning flashed, illuminating Ethan's furious expression. His coat flapped in the wind. For a moment, I thought he might strike, but he did not. He knew the truth was turning against him. Pastor Raymond gave me a small nod. Speak your heart, he said. I will, I said. I will not be silent anymore. I will protect my father's name. I will honor my family. And I will not let fear rule me. The rain stung my eyes, but I saw clearly now. I saw the faces of the people who believed lies, and I gave them truth. I told them about every manipulation, every hidden document, every false accusation. I showed them the letters, read them aloud, let them hear my father's words. I watched Ethan shift. His hands shook. His eyes were wide. The control he held over the town and my life slipped away with each sentence I spoke. Collins tried to interrupt. This is nonsense, he shouted. She is just a woman, weak and biased. I pointed to him. You helped him. I said, voice loud. You lied. You took power by hurting others. You cannot escape justice now. The town murmured. Some gasped. Others nodded. The storm seemed to answer me, roaring approval. I felt my fear dissolve in the wind. Lena whispered, you did it. You're unstoppable. I smiled through the rain. We did it, I said. We are done running. This storm does not scare us. Ethan screamed one last time, throwing his coat aside. You ruined me. You ruined yourself, I said quietly. Truth always finds its way. By the time I stepped down from the platform, the crowd was with me. Faces that once doubted now looked at me with respect. The folder in my hand felt lighter. My father's letters were safe. My family's name was protected. I looked at the rain, feeling it wash over me, cleansing the fear, the anger, the guilt. I had survived the storm that once terrified me. I had faced him, faced the lies, faced myself. Pastor Raymond touched my shoulder. You have grown, Maria. Stronger than anyone could imagine. I nodded, eyes still on Ethan as he was led away. I felt no triumph, no hatred. Only calm. The storm was over. My heart was full. My voice had been heard. My family's name was saved. And for the first time in years, I felt free. Chapter 10, The Name I Protected, the Woman I Became. I walked slowly through the town square. Dust swirled at my feet. People stared. Some whispered. I felt their eyes on me, sharp and curious. My heart beat fast. I swallowed hard. I had no idea what they thought. Maria. Lena called from the side. She ran toward me. Her face was bright with relief. It's over, she said. They can't hurt us anymore. I nodded. I know. My voice felt strange to me. Stronger. Clearer. I took a deep breath. The town seemed smaller now, less intimidating. The people who had avoided me now glanced at me with uncertain respect. Collins resigned, Daniel said quietly behind me. I turned to see him, his hands in his pockets. He looked tired, but his eyes held pride. He couldn't cover for Ethan anymore. I let the news sink in. Collins, the mayor who had always seemed untouchable, stepping down because of the truth I had revealed. My father's name safe again. My family's honor intact. I felt a weight lift from my chest. I stopped at the fountain in the middle of the square. Water rippled quietly in the morning light. The sun was weak, hiding behind gray clouds. I could see shadows on the buildings, the small shops, the windows. Some curtains moved. I wondered if people had watched me speak yesterday. I wondered if they believed me now. Maria Hale, a man called from the crowd. He looked older, serious. I apologize for doubting you. Your father, he shook his head. He was honest. And you too. I nodded slowly. Thank you. My voice shook, but I held it steady. I did not want their pity. I only wanted my life back. I wanted to breathe without fear. I wanted to feel safe in my own home again. Ethan's name lingered in my mind. I could almost hear his scream when they took him away. He had shouted that I ruined him, that I had betrayed him. I had. I had betrayed my own trust by letting him in. I had given him shelter, and he destroyed everything he could. But I had survived. I looked toward the direction he had been taken. I imagined him behind bars, cursing, frustrated, powerless. I felt no joy, only release. Only the strange, quiet satisfaction that comes from surviving someone's lies. I walked to my father's grave next. The grass was wet with morning dew. I knelt down. I could feel the cold of the ground through my hands. My chest tightened. Father, I whispered. I understand now. I understand why you never spoke of some things. I understand the silence. I protected your name. I kept our family safe. I pressed my hand against the stone. It was rough under my palm. My mother stood behind me. Her hand found mine. Her fingers squeezed gently. She did not speak. She didn't need to. I knew she was proud. I knew she was relieved. My sister Nora approached slowly. Her head bowed. I was wrong, Maria, she said quietly. I doubted you. I doubted Father's honor. I doubted myself. I am sorry. I shook my head. It's okay, Nora. We are safe now. That is what matters. Her eyes shone with tears. She came close and hugged me. I felt her warmth, her apology, and the bond of family restored. I stayed at the grave for a while longer. I thought about the storm we had survived. The letters from my father, the lies Ethan told, the fear we felt. I thought about every moment that had tried to break me. Every time I had cried, every time I had wanted to run. I realized something, I was not that woman anymore. The storm had passed, and I had not only survived, I had grown stronger. I stood and dusted my hands on my dress. The air felt lighter now. The clouds above seemed to part just a little, and sunlight touched the edges of the gravestones. I felt warmth on my face. Hope. I had earned it. Lena joined me. Are you ready to go home? She asked. Her voice was calm, supportive. I think I am, I said. I glanced back one last time at the grave, at my father's name, at the memory of what we had lost. I'm ready to start over. We walked through the town together. The streets were quiet. Only a few people watched us now. They nodded, some smiled, some whispered. I held my head high. My chest felt open, my heart lighter than it had in years. I had faced lies, betrayal, and fear. I had faced a man who had wanted to ruin me, to control me, to destroy my family. And I had survived. When we reached my home, I opened the door slowly. The house smelled of dust, old wood, and memories. I stepped inside. Sunlight streamed through the windows. I felt the walls, the familiar corners, the old furniture. I was home. I was safe. For the first time in a long time, I could breathe without hesitation. I sat down at the table. My mother joined me. We did not speak much. Words were not necessary. She poured tea, and I felt the warmth in my hands. I looked out the window at the garden, at the flowers my father had planted. I remembered him smiling. I felt his presence around me, comforting, strong. Nora came in and sat beside me. She did not speak at first. Then she looked up. Do you forgive me? I smiled faintly. I forgave long ago. But I understand now. We all did what we thought was right. The house felt alive again. Not just because of us, but because of the life we had reclaimed. The storm had passed. The lies had been exposed. The truth had survived. And so had I. I walked to the window and looked outside. The streets were empty, quiet. The sun rose slowly above the horizon, painting the sky in golds and pinks. I whispered to myself, I gave shelter to the wrong man, but I found myself in the wreck he left behind. I felt the wind on my face. I felt the freedom in my chest. I took a deep breath. For the first time in a long time, I felt entirely, completely free. I turned back to my family. My mother smiled. Nora reached for my hand. Lena stood behind us. Daniel had already left, but his support lingered in my heart. The world was calm. My heart was calm. I had fought, survived, and emerged stronger. I knew there would be hard days ahead. There would always be challenges. But the fear, the anger, the pain, they no longer controlled me. I was Maria Hale. I was a woman who had faced betrayal and survived. Who had protected her family's name. Who had reclaimed her life. I smiled faintly. My hands rested on the table. I let myself feel every ounce of relief, every ounce of hope. I had earned this. I had fought for it. I had won it quietly, through courage and truth. And now, I could finally walk forward. The past would always be part of me, but it no longer ruled me. I had my family, my home, my heart, and my freedom. The storm had passed. I had survived. And I would live. I stood, lifted my head, and stepped outside once more. The world glowed with the first light of day. I walked toward it. Slowly, carefully. With courage. With love. With hope. With freedom. I was ready.